Hey guys, welcome to my live. All right, today we're talking about the good stuff. We're talking about booze, we're talking about pizza, we're talking about eating off of your kids' plates, we are talking about ice cream, we're talking about all the best things. We're talking about how to exercise a little bit of self-restraint around everything that you absolutely love. So, pizza, ice cream, finishing your kids' leftovers, drinking, all the things, all of those can be part of a healthy lifestyle, but they are also often basically a gateway drug into just fuck it mode for a lot of people. So I want to talk about kind of how to tread the waters between indulging in things that you love during a healthy lifestyle, but taking away the ability for them to just flip the switch and you just lose your freaking mind around those things. So to tie this back into my posts recently, I've made a few of them, is about self-restraint and self-control. So something that I found very interesting, and I got this from reading, well, actually I have the audiobook. It's called Atomic Habits by James Clear. I'd highly recommend it. It's something I just can listen to mindlessly, and it's an interesting perspective on habit creation and formation, and kind of really making it extremely tangible and easy instead of thinking like, I have to lose 30 pounds. It's like, okay, let's bring it in a little bit, and how can we actually set you up for success without thinking I have to lose 30 pounds, because that in itself can be overwhelming. So highly recommend the read or the listen since I have it on Audible. But what I found really interesting to learn is that it's really clear in the research that highly successful people, and we're not just talking about weight loss here, but just successful people in general. I mean, you're talking like career, family, finances, whatever, don't necessarily have more self-control than people who are less successful in those areas. What they do have is the realization that every person, no matter how awesome you think you are, and you're probably pretty awesome, I'm not gonna lie, but we have a finite ability to exercise self-control. That's why kind of you see what's the guy's name? Mark Zuckerberg, like the Facebook guy. I think he wears the same thing every single day because he knows that we have a finite ability to make decisions. So he's like, I'm not going to have to make a decision on what I wear every day. I just wear the same thing. So I can use my mental capacity on other things that he is deemed a lot more important to make him his $1 zillion. So self-control and self-restraint work the same way. We have a finite ability to resist, exercise self-control, say no to something that's really pulling at our heartstrings. So if this is kind of resonating with you guys, like, oh, I have a few of those things that are just kind of like, oh, can I do it? Should I do it? Do I not? Just let me know if this is kind of hitting on some things for you guys. We all have certain ones. I mean, like certain foods. I just had this conversation with someone through a DM, and we were talking about favorite foods, and somehow it turned into like, if you could have one last meal. I was like, I'm pretty sure if I could have one last meal, it would be buffalo wings, cereal, oatmeal, and champagne. Like those are my things. I love those things. So bringing this back to self-control. So it's not that you need to figure out how to have more self-control around things that you enjoy if you're trying to be successful in a diet or just kind of in other areas of your life. It's learning that you only have so much self-control to exercise. So what you need to do is restructure your environment so that way the amount of times you are put into a situation, you are faced with an opportunity that would require self-control, you need to reduce the amount of times you are in that situation on a day-to-day basis. You need to restructure your environment so it's not that you have to exercise self-control all the time. You've put forth the effort to make sure that you don't have to exercise self-control all the time because you've taken away kind of some of your triggers. So let's give you guys a few examples. If you love your Starbucks latte, like on the way to work, or if you're walking by or whatnot, but you cannot leave Starbucks without a coffee cake or that like bomb ass lemon cake thing with icing on it. Whoa, that is so good. If you cannot go into Starbucks just to get a coffee, if you always have to leave with a coffee cake, maybe what you need to do is not try and resist that coffee cake, is start bringing your own coffee to work, or go somewhere else that doesn't have the thing that you can't resist. Restructure your environment so that you don't have to exercise self-control every time you walk into Starbucks to say no to the coffee cake. Just don't put yourself in a situation where you have to say no. Take that out of your repertoire for a while. Maybe at home, it could be Oreos. Maybe you just completely lose your mind around Oreos. So what you don't want to do is completely take them out of your repertoire, because then you're a ticking time bomb for whenever you get your hands on an Oreo. You're going to lose your mind. But you realize that if you have the giant family pack and it's just open, you open it and there's just the sleeve, you're gonna go for it. There's no control. Is buy the pre-packaged like little mini snack packs. So that way, self-restraint and control has been taken care of for you. You open your pack, you eat the Oreos, and it's done. You don't have to exercise self-restraint on the sleeve that's just tempting you, because you've changed your environment to take that away from what you're trying to do. Let's see, another example could be, let's say maybe you have a favorite pizza joint. Like maybe you live near, like there's like a local pizza place nearby, or maybe a local like Mexican restaurant, and you love that cuisine, but you cannot go in, let's go with like the pizza joint, and every time you go in, you sit down, you're going to order pizza, you can't resist ordering a beer to go with your pizza. Maybe you're like, you know what, I always time it, it's happy hour, they got my favorite IPAs on draft, I cannot just get the pizza, I have to have the beer. And if you're trying to cut back on drinking, you don't necessarily have to forego the pizza you like, but instead of going and sitting down and trying to exercise self-restraint of I'm just not going to order the beer, get the pizza to go. Put in a carry-out order. It's about restructuring your environment so you don't have to feel like you're saying no or exercising self-restraint all the time. So this is where I want to tie it back into my own healthy fitness, weight loss journey, whatever you want to call it, because I have managed to lose the weight and keep it off. So what I was learning, and I learned this pretty early on in my weight loss journey, and it ended up working out to my advantage. And as I've been kind of doing this, I've been restructuring my environment so I don't have to exercise self-control all the time. Since day one, I just didn't know exactly what I was doing. But there were certain times, and let me know, give me like a wave or a little hands up if you guys have, if you can definitely remember most recently, or even a few times, you just kind of flipped on fuck it mode. Maybe you were like, I'm going to have one glass of wine, and then you had the bottle. Or like, I am not going to eat the cookie. And then you had all the cookies. So let me know if you guys can kind of relate to having situations where you just kind of felt like you were going to stick to a plan, and then you just found yourself out of control. I was finding myself in those situations, and I was looking at like, all right, what is it? What is the trigger? And I couldn't find a common denominator in like, okay, it's every time I have pizza. Yeah, I see you girls, been there. So, and I couldn't figure out what it was. For me, it wasn't a specific food. It wasn't a specific restaurant. I'm just like, what the hell is wrong with me? Like sometimes I just flip on like lose my mind mode, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And I realized it wasn't for me personally. It wasn't necessarily something in my environment trying to get me to exercise self-control. It was what I was doing that reduced my ability to exercise self-control. And I have 3. Those are the top 3. That's what I posted this morning. Alcohol, stress, lack of sleep. Any of those 3 things, and my ability to exercise self-control plummets. Lucky for me, they are often combined together, which makes it worse. So I know after a couple drinks, I'm gonna eat everything because I love to eat. Or I know if I am stressed out. I mean, grad school stress was next level. I was literally chipping my teeth in my sleep. I was grinding my teeth so hard. So I get stressed. I am so stressed. I was using food as a coping mechanism. And that's something that I've done for a very long time. Hence a very long struggle with my weight. Weird, huh? No, it makes sense. Then lack of sleep. If I am really tired, I also I don't care as much about things just because I am freaking tired. So a lot of times you're stressed out, so you have a glass of wine, and then maybe you have 2. So I'm stressed, so my self-inhibitions are already lower, and then I throw on some alcohol, which lowers them even more, and then you probably stay up a little bit later than you would have, or you don't sleep really well, so the next day you're super tired. So I had done a fabulous job of realizing that my 3 things I often clump together, and I know my ability to exercise self-restraint or control especially if those three storms collide, is like a -12. I'm not going to do well. So I know that about me. So if I'm trying to implement a new habit, I'm really serious about a goal, if I have a new weight loss goal or a training goal or something coming up, I'm like, all right, I have got to restructure my environment so I don't lose my shit every time like any of those storms collide. Yeah, sometimes I'm tired. So if I had a really, really shitty night's sleep and I know I'm tired, I shouldn't be drinking that day. I mean, I'm not much of a day drinker anyway, let's get serious. I'm not that person. If you are, good for you. No judgment. But if I am super, super tired, I know drinking isn't going to help anything. I'm definitely going to make decisions. I'm more likely to make decisions I don't like. If I'm tired, add alcohol, it's really bad. So if I'm really tired, I just take drinking off the table. If I am really stressed out and I do want to have a glass of wine, I bring in reinforcements. I'm like, Josh, I want 1 glass. 1. Don't let me have any more. I've made the decision in my right mind that I want a glass of wine. I'm tired, a little bit stressed, but I want a glass of wine. I'm making the decision consciously. But if I have the 1 glass of wine when I'm already tired and stressed out, I am way more likely to go back for more if I don't have him going like, I thought you said you just wanted 1. If you want more, like, he doesn't care. He's like, no judgment. You told me to remind you that you wanted 1. So I need to bring in reinforcements that I've elicited when I'm in my right mindset to keep me in alignment with my goals. So let's talk about drinking a little bit. 1 glass of wine, most of us are pretty fine. I know I can probably swing 2 drinks and still feel like I can make decisions conducive to my goals. 3, I'm going down quickly. So let me know if you guys can resonate with, like, you have a drink limit. 2, I'm a pretty okay person. 3, it can go south very quickly. So I also know, I'm like, all right, I'm going to go out with some friends. Maybe we're going to have like a martini, or I'm going to have a couple of vodka sodas. And I factored in, 3 drinks. I was going to get a little crazy into my macros. I know I get munchy. I know it. I know I like to eat when I drink. See these worlds colliding? It's great. So I factor in food into my macros. Don't just end your night with like 6 vodka sodas. That is a terrible decision because you're going to wake up feeling like death, but you're probably going to want to eat something somewhere in there. So if I'm factoring in drinks to kind of like end my night with, I am also factoring in food, whether it is like, I know I'm going to want to come home and make like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or I'm going to want one of my yogurt bowls or some cereal, something. I always structure my environment to allow me to indulge in those things that I am more likely to want to do anyway after I've been subject to some of my triggers, the alcohol, the stress, the lack of sleep. So what I've really, really done is put structures into my schedule and my environment to try and not let those worlds collide so much. Or if they are going to collide, I know it ahead of time, and I put things in place like, all right, I'm going to be really stressed out. I know I'm going to want chocolate, so I'm going to make a chocolate oatmeal for breakfast that morning. I'm going to have chocolate with lunch, and I'm going to have some for dinner. I try and plan ahead when I think those worlds are going to collide, or I'll elicit Josh to come in and help me stay on track with my goals if I know I myself am not going to have the, self-restraint that I want in those situations. So when it comes down to stress, I'm a type A list maker, make a to-do list. If I do something that is not on my to-do list, I will put it on the to-do list just to cross it off. That's the type of type A I am. And I have found, surprisingly, great stress relief and stress management in guided meditation with the free app. That helps keep my stress in check. So I know if I have an insanely stressful week coming up at work, I'm going to meditate in the morning. If I have to set my alarm a few minutes earlier, that needs to happen. So instead of just saying, I lose my shit around pizza, or I can't drink without eating my face off, and saying, okay, Let's not look at just pizza. Let's not look at just the drink. Let's look at your environment as a whole to figure out what you can do to reduce the likelihood of you trying to have to resist. I know a big one for a lot of my clients is finishing their kids' plates after dinner. It's like, I don't want to waste the food. I don't want to just throw it in the trash can. So I'm going to eat their food as we're like doing the dishes. I'm like, well, one, you're just using your body in place of a trash can. Your body is not a trash can. But two, if that is a trigger for you, if you're like, I always just like take a bite, or I don't want to waste it, then you need to change your environment. Maybe your significant other needs to clear the plates with your kid's food that was not finished, or the kid needs to take up their own damn plate. You need to stop subjecting yourself to things that you know are not helping you with your goals. Instead of just thinking, I need to work harder, I need to do better, I need to exercise more control. You might be exercising self-control all day. You might not be going into the candy jar at work. You might have said no to the donuts. You might have said no to happy hour to do the gym. Like, you made a lot of choices that day that you feel really good about. And by the time dinner hits, you are fucking tired of restricting. So it's not about trying to restrict things that you love forever. It's about creating an environment that supports your goals and makes you feel like you don't have to restrict all the time, because you've put things in place to support you throughout the day. So for some of you, it might be a certain food, a certain drink, a certain restaurant, something like that. For me, it's triggers. It is alcohol, sleep, and lack of stress. I know if any of those are in there and I find myself wandering into the kitchen, because for me, I'm an overeater. I have clients who are more like, when I'm really stressed out or those things, I undereat. I've never had that problem in my life. I overeat. I've done it my whole life. I eat when I'm happy, I want to eat. When I'm sad, I want to eat. That's just who I am. So I've restructured my environment and done a lot of work on my relationship with food to make sure that when my triggers collide, or just when one is present, I know before the trigger hits or as it's happening, it's going to make me want to do things that are not conducive to my goal, which also helps me take myself out of the environment. Maybe if I'm really stressed out, I'm not going to sit at my kitchen counter to work all day within an arm's reach of the pantry. I'm going to go somewhere else to work. So try and use your environment to your advantage so you don't feel like you are subject to triggers all the time and just trying to say no and keep your head afloat. Maybe structure your environment so you don't have to say no all that often, because you already put in the work and created a really safe space to compliment you and complement your goals. So that's really what I wanted to share this go around, is instead of looking at some of your triggers or like, God, I just lost my mind last night, is if it happens and you're starting to realize there's certain situations when you're losing control or the ability to make choices that you feel like really support you and your goals, is start looking for trends. Sometimes it's not easy to find. So if you guys are struggling there, definitely shoot me a DM. I'm happy to get into the conversation, or leave a comment below and we can all brainstorm together. Is try and find trends of what might be setting you off. So me learning what my triggers were early on and then just trying to reduce how much I was subject to them, or trying to strategically not combine them, was setting me up for success and developing habits without me feeling like I have to restrict all the time. I mean, if I wanted to go out with my friends, but I knew I was already really tired, I was just not in the mood to drink, but I just wanted to hang out with my friends, I would offer to be the DD. That's a really easy way to hang out with your friends and not drink, because they're not going to let you drink because you're their ride home. So that was a way to structure my environment where I wasn't tempted to drink because it was a hard no, because I was the only one with car keys in my hand. So little things like that can make really big differences, instead of just feeling like I'm going to go out, but I can't drink because of my weight loss goal. Blah, 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 blah. It's make decisions ahead of time before the triggers are hitting, or before you're about to make the choice you don't want to, so you can be just a little bit more educated and intentional with what you're trying to do. So that was basically what I wanted to hit with you guys today. I hope that resonated. If you guys have any questions, concerns, anything, now would be an opportune moment to drop them in, because I'm going to sign off here shortly. I don't see any questions, concerns coming in, but hopefully this was something that just at least got your wheels turning, that there's nothing wrong with you. You're not lacking self-control. You're not lacking self-restraint. You're not a weak person. You might just have an environment set up where you have to say no all the time, and you're just tired of saying no. So restructure your environment in a place that makes you feel safe and happy and not so restricted, and you'd be surprised how much better things kind of turn out for you. So that's all I had for you guys. I will do my best to save this as an IGTV if you came in late so you can catch the beginning. So yeah, hopefully you guys are having a wonderful, wonderful rest of your weekend, and I will check in later. Bye!